Cameron Friend with the Fellowship of Christian Athletes. And I have a special treat for you today. Today, we are about to take Kings Ridge Christian School on a tour of the Center for Civil and Human Rights. Now, why are we doing this? Why is this a part of what FCA is doing? Well, as an FCA rep, I talk to coaches, athletes, and even parents about issues of race, culture, and really what we are supposed to do as Christians and how we are to respond to a lot of these things. But we don't really have a lot of opportunity to actually talk about it because oftentimes we're always on the go. And so we really wanted to take this trip to have an opportunity for the kids to interact with culture and with our history and see what did the church do during the civil rights era? What can we do to be a part of the solution? And so today's gonna be a fun day. Today we're gonna learn some things. Today we're gonna experience some emotion that we may not be used to feeling, but I truly believe that God is gonna bless this next generation, that they're gonna be a part of the vehicle of change and transformation, not just in the church, but in America. And so we're gonna be the people that God has called us to be. We need to be willing to be uncomfortable, and we need to be willing to challenge our preconceived notion that we may have about each other. So buckle your seatbelt up and get ready.
I feel like in our area, like genuine, like Alpharetta area, you don't really see it very often. I don't know, maybe I'm wrong.
Do y'all talk about any of this kind of stuff in your own homes at all, with your parents, anything like that?
Like I feel like every now and then, like if there's ever like a big issue that'll like come up with like somebody getting pulled over, or somebody like being shot, like me and my parents will like talk about it and discuss it and like say what we think is like right and what is wrong and things like that.
So, as y'all remember last year in August, you had the Charlottesville incident that happened. So, do y'all remember when that happened for most of you? So, what are some of the things that y'all saw, or even some things that you were thinking when you saw these things happen?
What happened in Charlottesville?
So, remember when they had the group of protesters, the white supremacists, the alt-right that came to University of Virginia with the tiki torches and stuff, and then remember the girl was killed in the car. They drove a car into her and she died. Remember that event at all?
Oh, no. Okay. Wasn't that about the statues?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So like when you see stuff like that happen, I mean, what happened? Like did you think about anything? Anything resonate with you at all?
I mean, I just kind of felt like the people who were the protesters who were doing it, like I know that what they thought, like they think that they're right and stuff, but they don't always take into consideration like the other people on the other side, and they only think about their side, very one-sided versus being open-minded.
So did y'all have to take these permission slips to your parents and get them signed?
Yes.
So what was that like when y'all first dropped them off to your parents? I mean, what were the conversations like about that?
My parents were excited that we got this opportunity, I guess, just
Really?
to kind of explore everything. So.
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. What about parents at
Mine are
all?
the same too. They're excited that we got to be able to do this.
Okay. Y'all?
Oh, we live with house.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Definitely like for our society now, like whether it's like, I mean, we're not necessarily like seeing it like in our area, but we're like seeing it on the news every single day.
Yeah, how does that make you feel?
Well, I mean, as a Christian, like I feel like we should all like be treated equally,
Of course.
like, with respect, and we're human beings and we have rights.
With the kids, they don't really know too much of anything about the civil rights movement, which is kind of shocking, but they're excited to see what they can take away from them and what will resonate within them so that they can go and put it out to their friends and their family out in the community, because just like, a lot of people, if it doesn't happen in their community, they don't think it exists. So a lot of times you can hear things on the news, and if it doesn't really affect you, you don't really know. And that's the exact same thing with these kids. So I'm hoping that they have something that penetrates them and causes a movement within them.
Well, I'm hoping that today, as we go through the Civil Rights Museum, that the students have a chance to experience and be challenged by things that they don't typically have to look at, especially majority culture students. Don't have to think about, wrestle with, and process through issues of race and justice. And I think it's important for all of us, especially majority culture, to have to step into that and to lean in hard and to listen. Actually listen to say, what is that experience like being black in America? And how can I, as a Christian, step into issues of race and justice and righteousness in America? And this museum gives them a great, and gives me a great opportunity to do just that.
One of the most impactful moments of today was seeing Martin Luther King's documents, like his briefcase and his sermons that he wrote, and also the sermons he wrote before he died. I thought those were pretty interesting to see.
It was just after the exhibit that you saw the memorial of Martin Luther King, right when his funeral, when they were carrying his body through the streets in a casket. And on that board, I was able to see 3 things he left behind. He left behind victory, which means that there were other people who came along and eventually founded more rights for African Americans in the United States. There was some terror, which means a lot of people, African Americans, people who have different beliefs religiously, they were all either beaten, their homes destroyed, or killed. And then there was also loss, which means some rights were still not given. There's some African Americans. There were still parts of the United States that were still very racist.
I think the most interesting part of this trip is the gallery on the third floor, because there are not only things happening in America, and there are also like cultural revolution in China. So I can just compare the revolutions and learn something from it.
The most impactful part probably was the lunch counter. I don't know, just because it was really scary and it freaked me out, and just like to think about someone who would have to sit in that chair and just like go through all the things that people said to them. It just scared me, and it was like, this is like real life and this actually happened, so I never really thought about it before, but now I do.
It kind of shows you what it's like to be in their shoes, and it's kind of scary when you're sitting there. It's not even real, so like not real life, but it happened. And when they started kicking the chairs, it was like you didn't know what was happening, and all the sounds and stuff is just kind of like, it shows you how lucky you are.
It was a scary experience. You had someone kicking your chair, bringing down the back of your neck, threatening you, and it's just a lot scarier when you actually hear about it or hear it, go through it, than instead of just reading about it.
It was just so impactful to me because it put you in their shoes, and it was like this was part of their daily life, and they had to go through this almost every time they went out to get a meal. And I think if I was an innocent bystander, I think I would try to do as much as I can for the people being oppressed.
The biggest thing that really got to me was like how it encapsulated like the pain and sadness and like kind of the whole feeling of that area, like the era and what it did to people, and it made me want to like reach out and do something more so no one had to feel that same kind of feeling again.
So many people just don't understand how much they went through. I thought it was a good experience to go and see all that, to like kind of put you, just give you a little glimpse of what they went through.
We don't realize how lucky we are. Like, all the things we worry about are just kind of like little things. Yeah, some big thing will happen and we'll be really upset about it, but it is nothing compared to what these people went through. And I think the realization of that is that we need to learn like how to pray for them, because it's still going on today, and we just need to always constantly think of them. Go and like tell someone, go stand up for what you believe in, because these people did, and it had a positive outcome. Even though it's still going on today, it did make a difference.
Racism is something that we have to deal with as a church. And the reason things are as bad as they are right now is because of us. It's our fault. We're the reason that things are as divisive as they are, because we are not taking up our call. We're not being faithful to who God's called us to be. So if we're going to see change brought to this area, if we're going to see truth and justice and righteousness proclaimed through the gospel to the people, then you have to be willing to be the one. You have to be willing to be the one to be uncomfortable, to sacrifice. The entire ministry of Jesus was about sacrifice and laying his life down for others. So honestly, we have no business calling ourselves Christians if we're not willing to stand up for those who cannot speak for themselves. That's the straight truth. That's what the gospel is about. That is what Jesus calls us to do, to love even our enemies. The reason that the civil rights leaders, particularly Martin Luther King, were able to be non-violent is because they saw their call as something given to them by God himself. And so they were able to stand with people who persecuted them. They were able to sit at lunch counters peacefully without attacking and defending themselves, because they believed that the call of the gospel was more important than anything else. The reason that you have to get this is because if you want to continue to see change and transformation brought to this world, you have to be the one. Don't look to your neighbor. Don't look to your friend. Don't look to your coaches. Don't look to other authority figures to be the answer. You be the answer. So what we did, we had a little breakout time. We had small groups, and we came back into big group discussion and share testimony of what God did today. Now this is crazy, y'all. This has never been done by FCA. We're really moving on a new frontier as far as what God is trying to say to us here in the 21st century. So I hope you were blessed by this video. I hope that God spoke to you in this video, but also want to encourage you that if you want to be a part of FCA, if you want to be a part of what we're doing here through high schools and through colleges around the world, please give. Give, because we want to help you partner with God's mission is for redeeming not only the church, but America. Because we believe that the gospel speaks not only to the individual, but the culture as well. So these students, these kids, they're going to be the ones that are bringing change and transformation to the world. And so if you want to be a part of that ministry, please give, talk to me, let me know. I have some other people around Atlanta that are doing some great work. And I know they would love your support and your partner in ministry. So thank you so much for watching this video. Thank you so much for interacting, and God bless you. See you soon.